Did you know that in Japan, you can't use your signature? You need a specially made seal instead. Or how about the fact that cleaning is part of the school's curriculum? Or that your tattoo can get you banned from the gym? That's just the beginning. Today, we're revealing 50 facts about living in Japan that no one really talks about. Fact number 50. The traditional meal for Christmas Eve is KFC. Perhaps it's not surprising, considering only 1.5% of Japan identifies as Christian, but Christmas generally isn't as celebrated as it is in many Western countries. But how did KFC become intertwined with Christmas? In the 1970s, the manager of one of the first Japanese KFCs heard foreign visitors complaining that a traditional Christmas turkey dinner was really hard to find. So, they ordered a fried chicken dinner instead. KFC in Japan took advantage of this relative lack of turkey to advertise chicken dinners for Christmas in 1974, promoting it as Kentucky for Christmas. To this day, KFC's profits double in December in Japan. Fact number 49. People avoid and fear the number 4. A superstition around the number 4 exists in quite a few Asian countries, and for similar reasons. In Japanese, the number 4 can be pronounced shi, and the word for death is also shi. Though they are represented by different kanji symbols, they sound the same. So, the number 4 is considered deeply unlucky, much like the number 13 in Western cultures. As a result, many buildings skip the 4th floor entirely, jumping straight from 3 to 5. Products are often sold in packs of 3 or 5 instead of 4, and gifting someone 4 of anything is generally avoided. It's seen as inviting bad luck. This tetraphobia, the fear of 4, is so pervasive that it affects people's health. The British Medical Journal found that Japanese and Chinese people were 13% more likely to die of heart failure on the 4th day of any month. Go figure. Fact number 48. You need your own hanko stamp. Every Japanese person watching this probably just rolled their eyes. That's because foreigners tend to find hanko stamps a cute little idiosyncrasy. Meanwhile, Japanese people find them one more incredibly annoying thing they have to deal with in their bureaucratic system. People in Japan generally don't use signatures for official documents. Instead, they have their own seal, known as hanko. Actually, they often have 3 seals. One for signing letters and personal matters, mitomen, a bank seal, ginkoin, and a seal for government documents, jitsuin. There's an alternative personal seal called a sanmonban, and at least 3 other corporate hankos. The seal usually has the person's last name in kanji and is kept in a small, cylindrical, lipstick-like container. Speaking of annoying bureaucracy, fact number 47. Japan has a reputation as a high-tech place, but day-to-day life can feel positively 1980s-like. The Japanese bureaucracy is overly complicated, taxing, and it feels like everything must be done in person. Take moving houses, for example. The process isn't as simple as packing up and leaving. First, you need freshly stamped documents from the neighborhood where you were born. Then you need to bring those to the ward office in your new location to exchange them for updated papers. After that, the new ward sends confirmation back to your original ward office to show the transfer is complete. And finally, you head to the administrative office in your new neighborhood for yet another round of paperwork. As one Japanese official told Reuters, paper documents and seals are still prevalent. Not to mention, the computer systems of different ministries and local governments are often incompatible. Fact number 46. You can relax about your personal belongings. No more nervously checking your pockets every few minutes on the subway or having your bag under your arm at all times. The crime rate in Japan is low. Like, really low. In 2020, the homicide rate was 0.2 per 100,000 people. In comparison, the US recorded 5.3 homicides per 100,000 people. The most frequent crime is theft, but it's still exceedingly rare. In 2023 and 2024, there were 389 thefts per 100,000 people in Japan. In England and Wales, it was 29.5 per 1,000 people, so 2,950 per 100,000 people. In essence, almost 8 times more than Japan. Fact number 45. A lot of places have umbrella lockers. it's best to use them. In their bid to keep everything clean, Japanese stores and offices would rather you not bring your dripping wet umbrella into their space, so many people leave it outside. But because a lot of umbrellas look similar, and maybe because umbrellas seem to be a blind spot in Japan's big don't take other people's stuff ethos, a lot of stores and offices provide umbrella lockers. For a tiny fee, you can lock up your umbrella and retrieve it before you leave. Fact number 44. Police are trusted and viewed as community assistants. When you walk around Japan, you may come across a koban, a tiny neighborhood police station meant to help the community. People in Japan ask the police for directions, for help with lost items, and general assistance. A koban also functions as a local lost and found, so if you dropped a bracelet or a wallet, check there. Perhaps the lack of crime leaves police a lot of free time to help their communities, but they do pretty well with investigating crimes as well. The Japanese homicide clearance rate is 95% compared to 60% in the US. Police will generally only hassle you if you're being really loud. Because in Japan… Fact number 43. Use your indoor voice. Though Japanese cities like Tokyo and Osaka are some of the largest, busiest cities in the world, you will find surprisingly quiet corners. Japanese people value silence and prefer not to disturb others. That's why on public transportation, even on a packed metro or bus, you can often hear a pin drop. Don't take calls on your phone while on public transportation, and if you want to speak to a friend, try not to make too much noise. The exceptions are stores, which often blast music and announcements at the same time, and pachinko parlors, where you will walk in and quite literally be assaulted by sounds. Fact number 42. Speaker cars can make as much noise as they want. The handful of exceptions to keeping volume to a reasonable level, including something most locals hate. Speaker cars. Usually employed when election season rolls around, each candidate sends cars with loudspeakers and volunteers out into their district. The cars blast campaign promises, songs, and slogans, while volunteers call out to people from the windows, all at deafening volume, which seems a surefire way to get someone to vote for your opponent. But hey, what do we know? Fact number 41. There's more than one way to bow. Most people are aware that Japanese people bow to each other, but there's several ways to bow, depending on the relationship between the people bowing and relative status. A casual greeting bow, known as eshaku, is a small, 15-degree, relatively informal bow. Keirei is a 30 to 40-degree bow, considered a little more formal when greeting someone superior by work relationship or age. The most formal bows, saikeirei at 45 degrees or further, and dogeza, which is bowing while flat-out kneeling, are rare and used for extreme respect or apologies. Also, avoid any direct eye contact during the bow, which communicates distrust or disrespect. Fact number 40. People avoid eating or drinking on the go. Speaking of ways you can inadvertently offend someone, you should generally avoid eating and sometimes even drinking on the go. Even when people get snacks from a vending machine or konbini, we'll get to those soon, they tend to eat or drink right next to the store or machine. Unless you're in a place like a festival where there's no other choice, walking and eating is just considered bad form and impolite. It goes against the Japanese idea of respecting public spaces, as food eaten on the go is likely to make a mess, and the food itself. Speaking of food practices, fact 39. You'll probably never worry about what's in your food again. Food in Japan is strictly regulated, with an extensive set of rules governing safety, quality, and handling. And for good reason. This is a country where raw fish is a staple, and even raw chicken appears in delicacies like torisashi, raw chicken sashimi, and yakitori tartare, finely chopped raw chicken with seasonings. With dishes like that on the menu, the food has to be safe. According to Japanese import site Koview, Japan enforces some of the strictest food safety standards globally to ensure customer protection and preserve its domestic agriculture industry. But you should still be careful how you eat your food, because, fact number 38, you can offend people with your chopsticks. Don't stick your chopsticks into your rice when you're not using them. It's a custom during Japanese funerals to offer bowls of rice to those who have passed on, with chopsticks inserted vertically into the bowl. As you can imagine, doing that while everyone around you is alive is considered a bad omen and generally rude. You also shouldn't leave your chopsticks laying across your bowl. It's bad etiquette known as watashibashi unless you're done. And you really shouldn't skewer a particularly slippery piece of food with your chopsticks. Basically, just leave your chopsticks on the chopstick rest when you're not using them. And definitely don't use them to point. Because, fact number 37, pointing in Japan is rude and aggressive. In Japan, pointing is considered rude and overly aggressive, especially in a society that values subtlety and non-confrontation. So, if you need to gesture to something or someone, don't use your index finger. Instead, wave your fingers gently with your palm facing up in the general direction of what you're referencing. And if you want to point to yourself, don't aim for your chest. Point to your nose. When speaking, it's a good idea to minimize your hand gestures in general, as using them, especially in public or more formal settings, is also frowned upon. Fact number 36. If you're a blunt person, Japan is a challenge. Japanese people generally avoid any interaction that can be seen as confrontational or aggressive, to the point where even the word no is barely said directly. People are more likely to respond with, "It's a bit difficult," or "I'll consider it," leaving you waiting for an answer when the answer has already been given, unbeknownst to you. This indirect communication style can be very frustrating for certain personality types who would rather get to the point. But it happens because Japan is what's known as a high-context culture. Cultures that tend to emphasize group harmony and also have many shared unspoken rules. People in these cultures rely a lot on nonverbal cues and implicit understandings, meaning a lot of communication is not being spoken. And since hand gestures are also limited, deciphering what's actually being communicated can be a challenge. Fact number 35. Tatemae rules social interactions. Japanese split behavior into tatemae and honne. Tatemae is the approach and communication people are expected to have when they're in public, or among people they don't consider that close. In these cases, people are encouraged to avoid direct expression and prioritize putting others at ease and keeping the peace. Honne, on the other hand, means speaking freely and being yourself, but it's reserved for close friends and family. Tatemae has positives and negatives. Japanese people tend to be polite, helpful, and nice to strangers because of it and rarely publicly lose their cool. On the other hand, it can feel oppressive at times to have to keep yourself in check at all times in public. Fact number 34. People are more comfortable naked than you think. For a culture generally perceived as quiet, shy, and avoidant regarding personal issues, it's surprising how comfortable Japanese people are with getting completely naked in front of strangers. We're talking, of course, about onsens, natural hot spring baths, and sento, public indoor bathhouses. They are gender-segregated communal bathing spaces, where a bunch of strangers come together and just relax in the water. Onsens are supposed to have health benefits as well. Fact number 33. You'll learn you've been bathing wrong this whole time. Do not put your dirty body in a bathtub full of water. You're supposed to sit down in a stall, shower first, make sure you're nice and clean, put your hair up if it's long, and then you enter the bathtub. Tubs are meant more for people to soak in and relax than clean themselves. That's part of onsen culture, so other people can use the water after you, or at the same time as you, without dealing with your dirt. In public baths, you may face another problem. Fact number 32. Tattoos are still frowned upon. Though tattoos have become accepted, even somewhat common these days in many countries around the world, there's still a taboo around them in Japanese culture. All the way back in the Edo period, from the 17th to the 19th centuries, tattooing people was a form of punishment for criminals. Even up to the beginning of the 21st century, tattoos were mostly associated with members of the Yakuza, Japan's most notorious criminal organization. In many onsens, gyms, and public pools, there's a ban on people with tattoos entering. Fact number 31. Japan rocks at designing bathrooms in general. Most people know about the amazing Japanese toilets by now. Want to warm your behind? Clean yourself with a spray of water? Play catchy pop music? You can do it all while on the toilet. But Japan is pretty great at bathroom design overall. Like other countries in Asia, most Japanese bathrooms have drains on the floor that drain everything in the bathroom. So if you splash some water outside the tub or have water sprayed out from the sink or shower, not a problem. Just let it drain away. Speaking of hygiene, fact number 30, you must always have or wear socks. It's more complicated than taking your shoes off before you enter someone's home. People will often be given slippers when entering a home, or even some public spaces, but even those can't be worn everywhere. If you're going to enter any space with a tatami mat on the floor, you're expected to take slippers off. But being barefoot in someone's home is generally not acceptable unless you're very close, so you should have socks on or at least a pair with you. And if you want to go to the bathroom, be prepared to put on separate slippers, only to be used inside the bathroom area. No one wants you tracking bathroom bacteria back out into their home. Fact 29. If you're over 40, prepare to get your waist measured every year. Japan is not overly concerned with being viewed as fatphobic. In fact, in some cases, it may be a little problematic in that regard, which we'll get to soon. According to the Metabo law, people between the ages of 40 to 74 living in Japan must have their waists measured every year. Excess fat carried around the waist is one of the biggest predictors of a range of medical problems, particularly heart issues and general bad health. Though it may be uncomfortable for patients, Japan does have some of the lowest obesity rates and longest lifespans in the world at 84 and a half years old. Fact number 28. Life is hard for plus-size people. In Japan, 20% of people are overweight, and less than 4% of the population is considered obese, compared to the average obesity rate for OECD countries, which is around 18%. There's still a big stigma associated with obesity, despite the sumo wrestling tradition, but more than that, a lot of clothing stores simply don't cater to plus-size people. Japanese retail often refers to size 2L as plus size, which translates roughly to a large, sometimes even a big medium in the US. Japanese sizes are generally 1 to 2 sizes smaller than US ones. To top it off, few plus-size clothing stores even exist. But that's not the only group facing challenges in Japan. Fact number 27, life as a vegetarian can be hard. Though there are plenty of vegetables in Japanese cuisine, most dishes have some form of protein in them, usually lean meat or fish. There are fewer vegans and vegetarians in Japan than in many Western countries, so even fewer restaurants cater to those dietary preferences. A 2019 survey by VegWell found that only 2.1% of Japanese people are vegetarian or vegan. Many chefs still don't even understand vegan dietary restrictions, and most restaurants aren't set up with vegan choices. Plus, a lot of seemingly vegetarian dishes are still made with fish or animal stock. And speaking of food, fact number 26. Even foodie cities like Tokyo don't have a lot of variety. Restaurants in Japan tend to serve one kind of cuisine, Japanese. Though the country is huge with a population of 123 million people, it's not that diverse, meaning there are few immigrant communities to set up or patronize restaurants with foreign cuisines. While you can find a great variety of Japanese cuisine, from sushi and ramen shops to izakaya, if you want Mexican or Greek cuisine, you'll be lucky to find more than a handful of decent places in all of Tokyo. And outside huge cities, you're probably finding nothing. Fact number 25. Expats probably won't find some of their favorite sushi rolls. One less surprising fact is that if you ask for a rainbow, dragon, California, or Chicago roll in a Japanese sushi restaurant, you're probably gonna get a blank stare. A lot of sushi eaten abroad is not actually Japanese sushi, but rather westernized. Japanese sushi tends to focus on more delicate, subtle flavors, while many foreign developed rolls try to cram a meal of flavors on top of the raw fish, obliterating its taste altogether. The one exception to this is if you're in a restaurant near an American military base, like in Okinawa. Then you can eat all the California rolls your heart desires. Fact 24. Food in Japan is still very seasonal. In most developed countries in the 21st century, people have lost track of what peach or strawberry or tomato season is. Why does it matter? All fruits and vegetables are sold year-round. But in Japan, the seasonality of food still makes a big difference in what you'll be served at different points throughout the year. Japanese cuisine has a concept called shun, which is all about eating food at peak flavor and freshness during their season. You can still search and find all fruits and vegetables year-round, of course, but it can be harder than in most other countries to find fruits and vegetables that aren't in season. Fact number 23. Konbini are central to Japanese life. Japanese convenience stores are known as konbini, with Lawson, Family Mart, and 7-Eleven being the three biggest chains. The 56,000 konbinis are one-stop shops that are open 24/7 for almost anything you can imagine. Locals can pay bills there, pick up packages, get late-night snacks, and household products you just ran out of. 50% of Japanese people stop at a konbini at least once a week. Fact number 22. Many places are cash only. An aversion to digital and preference for paper doesn't just apply to the Japanese government. A lot of places in Japan won't accept credit cards and only take cash. Even in massive cities like Osaka and Tokyo, some smaller restaurants and shops are cash only. Given Japan's reputation as a super high-tech place, this surprises a lot of people who show up with a credit card and are politely told, in a very roundabout, indirect way of course, that they can't use it. If you're going to visit temples or shrines, you almost certainly need to carry cash. Fact number 21. If you go on a trip, don't forget to get and give omiyage. Omiyage translates effectively to souvenir. While getting souvenirs for close family or friends is a nice gesture in many cultures, in Japan, the practice is more specific. First of all, omiyage are usually edible goods, and they should be representative of the place you visited. In other words, local products from there. Second, you're not just getting omiyage for your best friend and mom, you're getting omiyage for the whole office. The idea is that it's a thank you to your colleagues who covered your workload while you were on vacation. If you're traveling to meet colleagues far away, you should also bring omiyage from your region to them. But you'll probably rarely leave the office anyway, because fact number 20. Japan has an unhealthy work-life balance. Working long hours to the detriment of your social life and personal health is encouraged in Japanese society, which has led to a lot of negative effects for Japanese people. Companies in Japan often expect endless hours of overtime. Nearly 25% of companies expect 80 hours of overtime a month. There is a social pressure in Japanese offices to stay at your desk until everyone around you has finished work, especially your boss. Because of this unhealthy lifestyle, Japan has a unique phenomenon known as karoshi, death by overwork. Fact number 19, napping on the job is a good thing, at least according to your boss. You might see Japanese people napping on the metro or a bench after a long day at work, but sometimes people end up napping right on their desk in the middle of a workday. Though many managers would be annoyed at employees catching up on sleep while on the clock, in Japan, this is taken as a sign that an employee is so dedicated to their work, they're barely sleeping. But it seems like all those extra hours in the office aren't even helping the economy. Because fact number 18, Japan's productivity has completely stagnated. We're a long way from the 1980s and 90s, when the explosive growth of Japan's economy left Western nations stunned and worried. Back then, many feared that Japanese industries would outpace and overwhelm their own. But times have changed. Today, Japan ranks 29th in productivity out of 38 OECD countries, a steep drop from its position at 19th back in 1970. Though no one has pinpointed a single cause, many believe Japan's declining productivity is tied to its intense work culture. The long hours, chronic overwork, and an emphasis on simply being in the office means lower productivity and a growing population of overworked, unhappy people. This takes us into our next, somewhat disturbing fact about living in Japan, which is fact number 17. There's a big problem with loneliness. As time goes on, the Japanese population becomes more and more single. For many people, even young people, it seems the drive to go on dates and meet others has evaporated altogether. There are many reasons for this, though most people blame a combination of the country's incredibly strict work culture coupled with tight finances for young people. According to a 2022 government survey, 47% of Japanese people feel lonely from occasionally to most of the time, and 1 in 3 unmarried men have never dated. And the dating situation may not improve anytime soon. As fact number 16, Japan is surprisingly sexist. Though Japan seems modern in so many ways, there's a huge issue with sexism in the country. People still have pretty traditional ideas about gender roles in Japan. A 2020 government survey found that mothers do 3.6 times more housework than fathers on average, even when both parents are working. Because of that, many women stop working or opt for part-time jobs after giving birth, as it's hard to balance almost full responsibility for household and childcare duties with a job. And that widens the gender gap. In the 2024 Global Gender Gap Index report, Japan ranked 118th out of all countries, right below Tunisia, Bahrain, and Nepal, hardly countries known for their feminism. Fact number 15. Get used to frequent public announcements in rural areas. Smaller towns and rural areas in Japan often have hoso, a local PA system. While they're used for emergencies, like warning locals of an impending typhoon, they also announce upcoming town meetings, sports games, and in some places, play musical tunes as lunchtime reminders. Of course, sometimes public announcements get oddly specific. Real-life examples have included polite reminders to pick up your dog's poop, alerts for residents to be on the lookout for a runaway cow, and even a request asking if anyone had seen a local woman's husband, who apparently had gone on a drinking binge and vanished without a trace. Fact number 14. Addresses work differently. Addresses in Japan are usually written as follows: a 7-digit postal code, followed by the prefecture, the city or ward, the neighborhood or area, and then 3 numbers that represent the district, block, and then building numbers. And those last numbers aren't determined as they are in many Western countries. House numbers, or go, are sometimes ordered by when the house was built, or it can be in a clockwise order around a city block. Some buildings also have names, and those will follow the house number. Fact number 13. Speaking of addresses, you'll probably get a great mortgage rate on your house. Maybe not the first thing you think of when thinking of Japan, especially for a country many people believe is expensive, but interest rates in Japan are low. To combat deflation, Japan's central bank has kept interest rates in the basement since the mid-1990s. Homebuyers in Japan pay an average of 0.3 to 0.4% for floating-rate mortgages, and a little over 1% for fixed-rate mortgages. In comparison, fixed-rate mortgages averaged 6.67% in the US. However, in late 2024, Japan's central bank announced that the days of zero interest were coming to an end, with plans to raise rates in the future. Fact number 12. Signs often feature Japlish, not English. Ahead of the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, the Japanese government instructed the Japan Tourism Agency to ensure clear and accurate English translations for the influx of international visitors. This was due to Japanese government offices and companies favoring automated translations. They also use a form of English understood only by Japanese people with limited knowledge of the language nicknamed Japlish. Examples include a transport company calling children dwarves, and phrases like "what happens to the children fare from what age" and the Toei Shinjuku and Toei Mita lines "can't take it" on signs. English-speaking foreigners living in Japan frequently share that they are asked to correct machine-translated English text, and often have their bosses choose the automated translation instead. Fact number 11. Most used clothing in Japan looks almost brand new. This is less of a language issue and more of a cultural difference. Used item marketplaces like Mercari and brick-and-mortar recycle shops often offer like-new products for a very low price. It makes thrift shopping in Japan a very rewarding experience. There are 2 factors that lead to this quirk. First, Japanese people are generally more likely to take good care of their belongings due to their education and cultural practices. Second, it's incredibly hard to return any item to a Japanese store unless you can prove it doesn't work. So if someone buys clothing and then decides they don't like the way it looks or fits, it's sent to the recycle shops. Fact number 10. Japanese people wear masks for all different kinds of reasons, not just if they have a contagious virus. About 40% of Japanese people suffer from hay fever, and masks decrease the severity of symptoms. Others who suspect they're getting sick will wear one to prevent transmitting disease to others. Some women might throw one on if they didn't have time to do makeup. That being said, if you are visibly sick, it's highly recommended you wear a mask in Japan. Sneezing and having a runny nose without a mask in public is considered rude, as you're risking making other people sick. If you have to blow your nose, turn all the way away from whoever you're talking to and put distance between you. Fact number 9. You may not be able to take some prescription drugs you take for granted. Have ADHD and need Adderall in Japan? Well, too bad, because it's illegal there. As is any other drug, prescription or not, containing amphetamines. And the list doesn't stop there. A lot of medications meant to treat depression, allergies, pain, and even decongestants are also illegal in Japan. And if you want to buy anything with THC or CBD in it, you're risking arrest because that's right, illegal. If you think Japanese laws are strict with prescription drugs, wait till you hear fact number 8. The country has more strict anti-drug laws. After Japan lost World War II, the country was decimated, and life on the ground wasn't great for a couple of decades. This led to rampant meth abuse in the 1940s and 1950s. At one point, open democracy counted 550,000 drug addicts in the 50s, at a time of increasing crime rates tied to drug use in Japan. This led to zero-tolerance drug policies for street drugs, and even prescription drugs with amphetamines. Drug use was linked to crime and seen as a general disruption to the social order. Even today, Japan's drug laws don't distinguish between possession and intent to distribute, so simply having drugs on you for personal use can get you the same jail sentence as a dealer. Japan's harshest penalty is reserved for the production of its much-hated amphetamines, as well as heroin. Offenders get life imprisonment. Let's return to something lighter. Fact number 7, get used to being incredibly hygiene conscious. In Japan, you better get used to being extra clean. Getting ready to eat? You'll likely be given an oshibori, a wet towel. Just left the bathroom and touched the door? Best to use a wet wipe. Going to pick up an iced coffee? You'll probably get a wet wipe as well. If you're new to Japan, the focus on cleanliness might seem almost obsessive at first. But give it time, and soon you'll find yourself adjusting to the spotless streets, the absence of litter, and the cultural rituals around hygiene. And then, the moment you travel anywhere else on Earth, it hits you. Why does everyone else live like barn animals? That being said, fact number 6, throwing out your trash in public can be very difficult. In a surprising twist, there aren't that many trash cans in public. Japanese people are often expected to keep their trash with them until they get home and can dispose of it there. Walking your dog? Take that waste home and flush it down the toilet. Not to mention, in 1995, the Aum Shinrikyo cult planted sarin gas in public areas, specifically in many trash cans, which led to a lot of them being taken down. So be prepared to have a little bag with you where you can dispose of any garbage you create while you're out and about. Fact number 5. Trash sorting in Japan is an art and a chore. People in Japan are encouraged to dispose of their waste at home, partly because they're expected to meticulously sort it into different recycling bins. And the categories aren't just paper and plastic. Trash is generally sorted into burnable garbage, non-burnable garbage, recyclable garbage, and oversized garbage. Recyclable items are then further broken down into categories depending on the municipality, such as bottles, cans, plastic bottles, aerosol cans, etc. The garbage collection schedule is also very specific for each neighborhood, so people must know what trash to take out on which day of the week. But it's not hard for people who have been trained to clean since birth. Fact number 4. Gakko Soji teaches students to clean. Japanese schools tend to have maintenance staff instead of the traditional janitors US schools employ. Every day in Japanese schools, students clean their classroom and common areas, with teachers putting students in groups and giving them different tasks depending on the day. The idea is not only to teach students how to take care of their surroundings and belongings, but also to foster a sense of responsibility for the maintenance of the areas they use. Fact number 3. Clothing is determined by date, not weather. This seems to be an unspoken rule across Japan, but it's really prevalent in schools. In many schools, students can't wear their summer uniforms before June 1st, no matter how hot it gets, or their winter uniforms before December 1st, even if it's freezing. Some schools are less strict about this rule, but even for everyday clothing, wearing short-sleeved shirts at any time but summer can get you strange looks and questions as to whether you're cold, even if it's 80 degrees Fahrenheit or over 26 Celsius outside. Fact number 2, schools function in a very unique way. Students in Japan generally put in a lot more days of schoolwork and are given way more responsibilities than many Western counterparts. The school year runs from April to March, and schools used to have half-days on Saturdays, though that practice is slowly disappearing. When students get to their homeroom, they stay there throughout the day while their teachers move around from period to period. Lastly, students are given many tasks that teachers and other staff would usually handle in non-Japanese schools, not only cleaning rooms but also taking attendance and collecting homework. Japan generally believes in making kids responsible, which is why, fact number 1, it's normal to see elementary school-aged kids running errands. Unlike in other countries where kids sometimes don't learn how to make their bed until they move out or later, kids in Japan are encouraged to be very independent from a young age. The fact that Japan is an incredibly safe country obviously enables parents to trust that their kids will be okay out and about, which might be why they will send kids down to the grocery store or to school on foot or via metro from 6 or 7 years old, something that will get Child Protective Services called on you in other countries. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you want to see more videos like this, then please consider subscribing and turn on notifications. Really does make a difference. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time on MathPack.